You're listening to From a Certain Point of Skew, the only Star Wars podcast to actually pronounce Ahsoka correctly. You're welcome, Dave Filoni. I am Jason, the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy. I'm broadcasting live from inside my Wookiee Poo studios. I am feeling very alone today, though. Day 2 of writing this temple, ridding this temple of energy drinks, and I'm feeling a little emotional. Matt.
Oh no,
Darth Matthews.
You need a what are those things called? Flick sticks. What are they called? What are those sticks called in Attack of the Clones?
I don't know. She told me to quit calling her a flick stick.
Oh man, that's your.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be here all night.
Good to be back. It's been a couple weeks since we did our preview with Ro. Thanks again to Ro for coming on and doing that. That was a lot of fun. Definitely go check out his show, Scarif Scuttlebutt. I'm excited. I'm excited for a new show. It's been a little bit, and this one, I feel like going into this one, it's more like I kind of don't know what to expect. You know, I have pretty good positive feelings about it and think it's going to be good, but you know, who knows? Because it's kind of a whole new deal. So I'm excited to see what they put out.
The reviews have been like, it's amazing. The only like knockdown I've seen is that it's a little slow in pacing. But then they go right on to say they're building the world. This is going to work. So yeah, I know this one's going to be right up my alley.
I think so. And this, I'm okay with the slower pacing. We got a lot of that with Andor. I'm okay with that. Take your time. Don't rush, because that's what some of the other shows have felt like, where they felt just rushed. You know, some of the movies have felt that way. You know, like the last one felt that way. So take your time. Let it simmer. Although if you're going to take your time, I think there may have been 10 or 12 episodes instead of 8 would have been better. But I'm just saying.
This water is delicious.
Somebody's really struggling without the energy drinks. He's on a natural high. If you would like to find our show, from a certain point of skew.com, you can find us on Twitter and Threads at FACPApod, and you can email the show, FACPApod@gmail.com.
We got a sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Contracepticif. For all of your contraception needs in the galaxy far, far away. What else we got here on the show today? Question of the week. Guess who's coming to Lothal? We got some news, new release schedule, and directors for Ahsoka. We'll discuss those. Then we're going to break down the episode 1 of Ahsoka. That's what we're here for. We got a Maul Bag Answering Machine, possibly something coming later. You'll know when you hear it if we insert it. And then we're going to drop a FACPAtoid, which is something that we haven't done in, it's been a while. Probably, have we done one this year?
Yeah, it's probably been a few months, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we're bringing that back. Let's jump into the show. Question of the week.
Okay, so our question we threw out is, which character are you most excited to possibly see make a cameo in Ahsoka this season, and why? So we got a lot of answers.
I like it.
Ty from 2 on 3 said, I want to say Callus, Agent Callus, because he's so important to the story in Rebels, but come on, we all know it's Hondo. Remember when it seemed like we were going to get Hondo in the Mando show, and instead we got Arugula the Hutt? I think there's a good chance Hondo shows up. It's the time. It's time. Especially because going back and thinking about and looking back on some of the Rebel stuff, he and Ezra were tight. So if Ezra shows up, somehow Hondo's got to be involved, I feel like.
Yeah, but I with 8 episodes and us getting into this new story and, kind of getting the viewer up to speed, I don't know if Filoni's going to shove all of his characters down our throat this season, but I definitely see as the show, if there's a second season, the movies, I can see some of these other characters jumping in.
Well, and I know the term MacGuffin gets used a lot, but I think Ezra very well could be that for this first season. I don't know that we see him in this season. I think we just get the little hollows and stuff, and then maybe, unless there's a moment at the end, I think it sets up for season 2.
Yeah, it's like the Luke Skywalker at the end of Force Awakens.
Exactly. He just shows up and has to do that long, drawn-out, stare at each other scene.
God, how pissed off would everyone be?
Oh, they'd be mad.
Well, everyone that's ever watched Rebels, anyone else would be like, oh, cool, they found him.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know what we're talking about. The Max Rebo Experience sent a picture, and that was the 4 X-Wing pilots. So Carson Teva, who we saw a lot of in Mando Season 2 and 3. Trapper Wolf, your boy Trapper Wolf, Filoni. I had to look up the name because I forgot him. Jib Dodger is Rick Famuyiwa, and Sash Ketter is Deborah Chow. That's what he's looking forward to seeing. Hooligan 7 sent a little GIF that was of Hondo. Again, a lot of Hondo love. And then Chris Meyer said Zeb. It's always Zeb. Do you think we're going to get a lot of Zeb? Nothing in the previews.
Yeah, really. Yeah, so I don't know. And I guess it comes down to like when they're going to put the whole team together, right? So maybe by like episode 3, 4, they go get Zeb, because it doesn't look like we're going to get him in at least the first 2.
I mean, why do you put him in Mando if you're not going to use
Right.
him in this series? It doesn't make any sense.
It was they wanted to see if they could do it, and then they're like, you know what, this could be really expensive. No Zeb.
Right, never mind. He's gonna be relegated to the hollow.
or it's like that's when they figured out it's expensive, so they went back to like a Chewbacca suit and just painted it purple.
There you go. Max Rebo Experience chimes in again and says, "Hear me out," and showed a side-by-side picture of Agent Callus and none other than Keanu Reeves. And to which I responded, Agent Callus is going to be in The Acolyte? 'Cause, you know. And then Mike Laybourne said, presented without comment, and it's a side-by-side of Callus and David Oyelowo, who is the guy who is the voice of Callus.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, make it him. That would just get people, he's not the same guy. He's black. He's not white.
He's got to wear the beard.
You got to wear the beard, though. Those chops.
And then they have to dye his hair brown and the beard brown. Like, it doesn't work, but like, be like, well, we made him as close as we could.
So it's the user handle is Desert Retro, but the name is Veronica Mars Season 2 Bus Crash Survivor. That's quite a Twitter name.
Fuck?
She said, I think it's a she maybe, they should have the voice actor portray him. And I agree. I think it would be fun to do it that way. Thomas Carter Rochester said, give me Santa or give me Rex? Is he just he saying that Rex looks just like Santa?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think.
What about Rex in a Santa hat?
That would be fantastic. All of a sudden, like he's sitting there and Ezra, that's how Ezra comes back into play. He sees Rex and he's Santa, sits on his lap. I want to be good. Brian Hour says, I would like to see Hondo. He could visit Pelimoto. He loves Pelimoto, Brian Hour. He brings her up a lot.
Yes, he does. Yeah. He's got a thing for the lady who likes the Wookiee. Or not the Wookiees, the
Jawas.
Ewoks. No. Jawas.
There you go.
See?
Very hairy.
If I had some fucking energy drink running through me right now, I might have got that right.
I was thinking maybe without the energy drink, you might remember everything. So, like, you know, you're always like, I'm podcasting, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe this slows the brain down.
We'll see.
And finally, from Brian Fennessy, obviously not Rook, but more Nogri commandos. I believe it was Zeb who killed him in Rebels. Rook.
I was going to say, I thought he died.
Yeah, I think he gets killed in Rebels, like in season 4, maybe, because he's helping hunt them down.
Yeah, because right before they all like jumped on wolves and went running around, right?
Yeah,
wasn't it right out? Like every once in a while they do those episodes like where it's those couple of stones and then the little prairie area they hang out with, right? It didn't happen in there.
I thought it was when they were on a structure, either a ship or on part of an Empire structure, and like he like zaps him or something, he falls off. I thought that's what happened. But I'm not remembering correctly. But the Nogri would make sense when you're talking Thrawn, because Thrawn was had quite a relationship with the Nogri.
Okay, yeah.
In the previous books and such. So
right.
Anyway, that was it for questions of the week. Thank you everybody for all your answers. You get an entry in our giveaway. News, just one item. That is a couple of fun Ahsoka notes. It was revealed last week that instead of doing the usual midnight Pacific drop on Wednesdays, which worked for me okay, although it's a little late, but it's still okay. Not so good for you or most people on the East Coast. They would either stay up really late and be up crazy late and have to deal with that, or they would have to watch the next day. But now they're going to release these things 6 p.m. on Tuesdays Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, so we can watch during regular hours. What a treat.
I love it. I know. I'm going to be able to watch on the big screen.
It kind of didn't make sense why they did it the other way. Like, what were you getting out of that?
Well, I think they were just hitting the download button at midnight, right?
Yeah, it just seems odd that they would do it that way.
Because it was midnight California time. It was 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yeah, but what do you get out of that by releasing it at that hour? I don't know. I just don't think.
Well, nothing other than that's the day it releases, so they release it right away.
No, I guess so. I just think it makes more sense to do what they're doing now.
So I think you're right. Maybe they got a new person that was hired. They're like, why are we fucking dropping
these
things?
Guys, what are we doing here? I hate to throw this out because I know you guys have been running this for a few years now, but what the fuck?
Probably less spoilers because everyone will be jumping on because everyone's up at 9 o'clock. They can jump in, watch the show, maybe get a little bit more talk. So
I think that's what it is. You generate a lot more buzz on social media and stuff.
Right.
It's happening at that hour.
Yeah.
And then we also got news last week about who will be directing the episodes. And so
Yes.
Filoni's doing episodes 1 and 5. I mean, it makes sense he's doing the first one, but not doing the finale. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. I actually thought he would have directed more episodes than 2.
You would have thought, but I guess maybe because he wrote everything and he's the showrunner, he's so heavily involved. He just wanted other people to come in, get other perspectives. But does that mean something special is happening in episode 5? Why 5?
Henneken!
Nah, that's what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
Steph Green, who she's doing episodes 2 and 3. She did Tribes of Tatooine episode of Book of Boba Fett, which actually is one of the ones I like the most. Is the one that they got really deep into like the Tusken culture, and then also had that sweet train scene of where they attack the train.
Oh yeah.
So she knows how to do action. That'll be a fun one.
Okay.
Peter Ramsey, episode 4. He's the one. He's the one who did the pirate episode of The Mandalorian. So speaking of Arugula the Hutt, so maybe that's where people see.
That was a good episode too.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I mean, other than the fact that the pirate looked ridiculous.
It was the one where the ship goes down in the end, right? Like the fight in the street where the Mandalorians go. Yeah, that was
great
a
action
episode.
scenes. Yes, for sure.
And he was formerly he was the director of the first Spider-Verse.
That's correct.
Film. There were 3 directors on that, and he was one of them.
So some people thinking, oh, does Hondo show up that episode 4? Just from a pirate perspective. Because really, the pirates are supposed to have more of a role, as we heard before, in Skeleton Crew. That's where they're supposed to come in more. So
yeah.
Jennifer Getzinger is doing episode 6. I did not see any Star Wars action in her past. She's done like a lot of TV stuff though, like Mad Men, Sopranos, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Geeta Vasant Patel is doing episode 7. Also, kind of a lot of TV directorial stuff, but I'm not as familiar with her. And then bringing in the finale, the closer, Rick Famuyiwa.
Has he directed at least an episode on every show?
I think it's mostly Mandalorian that he's done. I don't know that he's done. He didn't do anything Kenobi.
Right. But because that was Deborah Chow did all of it. But did he do a Book of Boba Fett episode?
I don't think he did. I think it's been all Mando stuff. He did a couple episodes of the first season.
Yep.
He did the 2. I think he did the maybe the premiere and the 2 finale episodes.
The 2 finale episodes.
Season.
Yes. Yep.
So it's along with Deborah Chow, he seems to be the most like experienced and trusted director in the Favloni world. So it makes sense, I guess, to let him kind of wrap that first season up. Yeah. We're hoping it's his first season. No Bryce Dallas Howard, which I can't remember if we talked about before. We knew that was going to happen or not. I know she's been working on some Skeleton Crew stuff, but she's like directed the most episodes other than those 2.
Yes.
I'm surprised she's not involved.
She stuck around for the whole thing. So, but I think, we'll see her again on either Mandalorian or Skeleton Crew, right? 1 or 2 episodes of that. Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting she's not involved in this, but that's okay. Anyway, that is it for the news. Just the one news item. And now I think is it time to talk Ahsoka?
I think it is.
Okay. So Ahsoka episode 1, Master and Apprentice. I mentioned, I think last episode, how I did not get a chance to go back, despite my best intentions, to go back and watch Rebels.
Right. Yeah.
But I did go back and watch some of the like key moments.
Is there a lot of guilt? Do you have a lot of Catholic guilt because you didn't make it through?
It did, yeah. Yeah, of course. I've put guilt on myself all the time. All the time. Okay. But you forget how emotional that show is for an animated series. There are some massive moments. I mean, aside from like, Kana's death, of course, and Ezra sacrificing himself in the end of that season. But even like when they thought they lost Ahsoka, that and Kyner's music playing, it really brings out the emotions in you. Yeah. Sets you up nicely for this series because we've got season 5 of Rebels here, don't we?
Oh, for sure. I mean, confirmed now that we've seen it, right? I mean, these 2 episodes are basically would it be the prologue, the interlude? What is it? We get sort of the in-between before the mural at the end of the last episode of Rebels. Yeah, there's a couple shot-for-shot remakes here, but just with maybe kind of slightly adjusted timelines, but that's about it. I do have to bring up Cole for a minute.
Okay.
Old co-host Cole. We were sitting in one of the break rooms today, and he's watching it, and he's like, "You watch this yet?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "This is so fucking stupid." He's so mad that they made Sabine Force sensitive. Like he was.
Well, very, very, very faintly force sensitive. We'll find out later.
I said, well, you haven't gotten to the part, it's kind of explained. Even the robot guy basically says, you're the worst force sensitive Jedi I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you had mentioned this earlier that the rub on this some people were giving was that it's kind of slower paced,
Yes.
than but we were looking for that, and I think it works. I think they really like take a moment to let you kind of sit in the moment. I would say this first episode is a little bit slower paced than the second one. Like I think there's a happy medium.
Look, I have to complain. They could have gone a little bit faster with the Fifth Element moment at the beginning. I mean, get to the fucking thing. She's like rubbing the chode and whispering to it and spinning it, and then
it takes a long time
over to the other one and does the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, did they have an editor? It was
right.
It's just
like cut it down. Just like cut about a minute off of that and you'd have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, overall, I thought everything looks great. Like Corellia looks great. Lothal looks fantastic. You mentioned Hu Yang, the robot.
Mm-hmm.
He's fucking great. They just keep doing it with the robots. I know he was in the Clone Wars, but to see him in live action, he's a pretty funny character.
Yes.
I love the new villains, although a little bit bittersweet watching Ray Stevenson, knowing the end result. That kind of
very
sucks.
much so. But I mean, I think that's the strength right now. Is it's good to see a good villain.
Yeah. Well, and they started off with that. That's what's so good, So let's just get into it. So they hit you right off the bat with this menacing score, almost kind of spooky, from Kiner. And then all of a sudden we get a red crawl. Like with the second that popped up, I was like, oh shit, we're doing the crawl.
In the last couple of episodes were red Star Wars logo. And I don't remember if there was words or crawl or anything, but it kind of matches. There's a couple, was it Bad Batch even? Didn't it start off with the red and it dissolved into the Bad Batch? Yeah. Yeah,
right. So it was cool to see the crawl. I think it was good for the casual, fan because they got a little bit of, without them having to speak it out, they got a little bit of an update. So that was good. But it kind of sets up, that essentially Ahsoka's looking for this map to find Thrawn, and she used Morgan Elsbeth to get that information, and Elsbeth's being transferred. Quite a big role for her, being transferred on that New Republic ship. So when Baylan and Shin land, I mean, it's like kind of under the guise of Jedi or whatever. I guess he is a Jedi. It's like right back into original trilogy, New Hope kind of feel. All that.
Oh,
all those
very
scenes.
much. There was a lot of New Hope feel. Also, it was kind of like the exact opposite of the introduction Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Where they show up for peace, they kind of sneak in, but it's the other. They just, here's our credentials. Zoom.
Well, I like how they land and they start walking down, the little whatever ramp.
The ramp.
Can't use words. And we all watched it together, of course, because the timing's different now. So I'm watching with the whole family. And my lady friend goes, "Isn't that hot with the steam? With the?" Did you imagine them coming down? Holy fuck, that's hot! More great hallway scenes here. You get the Baylan hallway scene. All in all, that whole sequence was just great. It was such a great way to throw you into it and immediately get an introduction to the villains, much like Darth Vader in A New Hope.
Yeah, what I really liked was when the captain's like, I'm going to go call their bluff. Yeah. And he goes in there, and then he gives the lady the chair, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as they go to like code red and they're like, the captain's been killed, the security guy just kind of walks over and hands her a gun.
Yeah.
And then like shuffles back.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, getting the bridge sucked because it was like an old video game console box that you held.
Yeah. It was like the prototype for like, this is what our Star Trek bridge will look like, but better.
Right.
Like the fucking pipe on the floor that leads to the chair, like the conduit.
Yeah.
And then he fucking spins his chair and just like sets his feet on it. And I'm like, that's a fucking tripping hazard. Where's OSHA?
Yeah, it looked like it was very hastily put together, this bridge. So meanwhile, she comes in, smokes. I mean, immediately you're looking at Shin as just this badass character who's kind of crazy, looks a little bit wild in the eyes.
She moves like a wolf, right? She moves like an animal. Like when she pulls her saber out, she like gets that stance, and then she's like. She like comes at you,
and a lot of stares and an economy of words, So she's just kind of looking for her chance to pounce. It seems like all the time. Meanwhile, Ahsoka, as you mentioned, is on a planet called Arcana, looking for this ancient temple where she can find the map. And this is a full on like video game-esque puzzle solving sequence.
Right.
it's a little bit Indiana Jones. It's a little bit Jedi Fallen Order. And it's funny because the Jedi Fallen Order thing, the planet, what's it called? Zepho, kind of looks like the whole sequence of what they're doing here and the alien-esque creatures on the walls and things like that. So it has that vibe to it, totally.
Those are the witches of Dathomir, weren't they? Or a version of that?
I'm thinking they were a version of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else that they would be, because that's when my kids were like, who are those creatures? I was like, they're from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Not a reference they missed, because they're like, I don't know what that is. Haven't made them watch that movie. That is a creepy movie. Anyway, so she gets the map but has to battle these HK droids on the way out, and we get our first shot of her in action, and she looks great. One of the things I thought was good about Ahsoka in action is, and even just in her movements in general, she really kind of adheres to what the animation movement was. Like, there are times with the way she's moving her feet and does these quick little steps and all this stuff that look just like the animation. It's weird.
Yes. She does like the crossing of the arms like Ahsoka always did, and she does there's that like side tilt look within her eyes, that glance that she does. There's an image where they show it's the exact same thing. She did a really good job at like becoming the live action version of Ahsoka all around. Yeah,
she did. So yeah, then the after she starts, wiping those fools up, they go full IG-11 mode. Self-destruct.
Oh, yeah. And holy hell, they are explosive.
It turned into Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah, it did. Yes, good call.
So she barely gets out of there. And it is kind of funny watching her try to do full sprint with all those robes, though. You're like, boy, man, you need to shed some layers. You can't move.
Good thing she wasn't trying to swim.
No kidding. And then we also find out, by the way, she's still going by Fulcrum at this point.
Right. That was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that was coming. There are a lot of things that happened that you were like, oh, they brought that in, and then there were other things you were like, well, we nailed that and guessed that correctly. I mean, a lot of people did, but what the Night Sister thing and all that kind of stuff, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yes.
Ahsoka lands on the New Republic ship, and we get the first look at Hera, who has risen to the rank of Sucrets cough drops. What the fuck is she wearing on her shirt? Have you seen? Yeah. What is that insignia?
Yeah, she's got like a 1970s throat lozenge pack
It is exactly that.
Yes.
Look up Sucrets. Because I immediately thought that, and then I looked at it, I'm like, am I right? And it is exactly the same.
And it's the same, I think it was it in A New Hope or Empire? The generals wore that same badge.
And I think we've seen it in other stuff. I think we've seen it in Mando. There's been a couple of people that have had that marker. It's just, it looks so funny. So then she learns of Elspeth's escape, and they kind of try to figure out who Baylan and Shin are. And that's when Hera says, Hera's kind of starting to kind of do the math. And by the way, she looks fantastic as Hera. Yes. Having only seen her in the little bit trailer bits, you're wondering like, how's this going to work? Because it's kind of a weird creature to pull off. But
I was worried about the green paint, but it works really well on her.
I think they really make the eyes match it so well that it looks good. But that's as she's explaining this stuff with the map, and she's like, this could lead us to Thrawn, blah, 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 blah. And Hera's like, that's impossible. He's dead. Which is interesting because that means they all thought, because I guess time has passed, that they went away and they died. Because she's like, well, wait a minute. If Thrawn's around, what about Ezra? She kind of stops herself. And then Hera suggests, hey, if you're going to go, you need to decipher this map. There's somebody you should talk to. We knew with this. We talked about it before.
There's only one person we know.
Only one person we know, right? We don't know that many people. Yeah. She's the one. She's really good at puzzles.
We're bringing the cast back together.
She's really good at puzzles, and Ahsoka's like, you should have seen the one I just solved.
Yeah, I know.
That was pretty good. On Lothal, this was a fun surprise. They're celebrating the anniversary of the defeat of the Empire and singing Ezra's praises. And lo and behold, who is speaking?
Yeah.
It's Ryder Azadi.
Who does the voice of the character, and he plays the live action version. What I really like though was they didn't want to put like a timestamp on it, so he's like several years ago.
Right. That's a good way to do it. Keep it vague. Yeah. Well, and so I see him at first that he gets 2 sentences in. I'm like, oh shit, it's Clancy Brown. It's literally the voice. It's got to be Azadi. And all my kids were saying that too. Like, he sounds just like the guy in the animation. I'm like, because it is. It's the same guy. And I was like, and by the way, he's also the Deveronian brute in Mandalorian. Yes. He's also fucking Savage Opress.
Oh, yeah, that's
Clancy Brown all over Star Wars. So he looked good. And he sounded, I mean, he does a little alteration of his voice that sounds a little bit different for Azadi, and he was doing it here, and it sounded perfect. So, yeah, he's, welcome to Sabine Wren. And of course, she doesn't show up, and we get this kind of silly moment. I saw one of those reviews. I think it was one of the Twitter posts you showed me that said something about how, like, it can be overly campy at times, or I didn't feel like it was that way. Did you?
I guess I didn't find it
moments.
campy, but it was kind of like, what was the point of him sending security after her? Like, you come here and celebrate yourself.
I think it was, yeah, that's true. It's a harsh move to go get security to drag her back.
Yeah, there's a lot of fuel they're using just to go chase her down on the ultimate highway to nowhere.
Right. Oh, and by the way, when he says, hold on, you can listen to Senator Jai Krell. That guy was in Rebels.
In the last season. Yeah, he was a kid, right?
He was a kid. He was with Ezra at the academy when he infiltrates the academy as a stormtrooper or whatever, and then later. So that was kind of cool, little call out. So yeah, then Sabine's on this joyride. She's listening to some fucking heavy rock.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like some anime soundtrack.
I always love when they bring like that kind of music into Star Wars. So I was like,
was it Hi Yumi Yumi? What was the name of the band that did the Teen Titans theme song?
Oh shit, I can't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah, she's cruising down the highway. The Lothal highway looks wonderful, really well done and well translated, and we've seen it so many times. And Lothal in general, like I said, just looks great. Yeah, she's not listening to the security forces. Fuck you. I'm Sabine Wren. I got a lot of clout here. I don't listen to anybody.
She's a bit defiant. She's also like, this is the first time you're going to see, I mean, this is going to take more than just, I'm really good on a fucking speeder bike.
Yeah.
Like this, I think there's some Jedi moves, like force sensitivity, right? Like you don't just go dropping the bike and sliding underneath and recover from that, because that was a good sideswipe thing she had going on at the end there, but she came right through with it.
And she's notably been very good at piloting things, driving things in the past. And maybe that's why her artwork is so good. It's because she's got the force flowing through her.
Yeah. She's stealing from other artists.
She's that artist eye, as as Ahsoka said. She, makes it back to her place, which is Ezra's old place, the tower. Yep. And she watches the recording of Ezra telling her that he's counting on her. And he thinks of her as a sister. Oh, yeah, he friend zoned her.
Right. At first, then I thought, well, that's the only way you find love in the Star Wars universe. You got to be related to him a little bit, right? It's their kink.
Did he say, "I think of you like a sister"? Wink, wink.
Yeah. Right away, it's Joe Dirt. You're my sister. You're my sister.
Oh, that's fucking funny. So then the bad guys go to Arcana, by the way, and discover the map's gone.
Yep.
Elspeth is like, Shin, you need to go to Lothal and find her apprentice. Sabine
Well, she doesn't even talk to Shin. I don't think she's ever said a word. She talks to Baylan.
She talks to Baylan.
Shin needs to be like, I'm right here. You can talk to me.
I can hear you.
She likes to tell the big brute what to do. Send her to Lothal.
It's a chain of command, She doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so she says, well, later she does say something to her. We'll get to that in a minute, which is kind of funny. But yeah, he sends her, I guess, to Lothal to track down Sabine. Actually, it's this point where she says something about the sisters or the daughters of Dathomir. And that's when Shin goes, "You're a witch."
You're a witch.
And Elspeth gives her this look like, "Bitch, you just called me a witch?"
Right. I said witch, not bitch.
On Lothal, Ahsoka arrives and Sabine, meets her in the town and the tension.
It's almost sexual tension. What is going on with these two? What came between them? What is it?
Thick.
Is it just their stubbornness?
I guess so. Something must have happened. Maybe they fought over a guy or a gal. Maybe there was a love triangle. Something happened. It's very tight and tense. We get some backstory hints about their time together because she's she's looking at her old bunk, seeing her artwork and shit and all that kind of stuff.
Which is cribbed right from the Galactic Star Cruiser that is no more.
Totally. Oh God, they had to use it for something. Yeah, we filmed the scenes there. Ahsoka asks Sabine to help her figure out how to open the map, and Ahsoka's, learning from Huyang. Well, he comes in and interrupts her, and he says, "Hey, so there's this Jedi. There's these two sabers I found, that we found in the video. I've searched my data banks, and one belongs to Baylan Skoll, and the other one I'm not sure about. So we find out at least his name from it, like they're aware of him."
Right.
And as that's happening, of course, this short conversation Ahsoka had with Sabine where she's like, "Don't leave with it. I'm just going to be in this other room." Fucking takes off. Of course she takes off. Why would you expect anything different? When Shin uses that drone to spot her, straight up Maul scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Like the framing, everything.
Yeah, very much similar. Sabine stays up late, She's fucking burning the midnight oil, trying to crack this damn map, and eventually figures it out. which I guess it's meant to be sort of tied to the Mortis thing, the 3 figures maybe, in the father, daughter, son deal. And it reveals this pathway from the galaxy to another galaxy.
Which was surprising. So it's not the Outer Rim. So now we're in another galaxy far, far, farther away.
Right. Not just maybe unknown regions. It's other whole other entity.
Now, here's my thing. Here's my question.
Yeah.
How does this map know where Thrawn is?
It's a good question. And I've seen other people question this too.
Okay.
And I've seen, it's like when, who was it who said, was it somebody on Twitter who said a 10,000-year-old map that pointing to something that happened 10 years ago? Like she finds it in this ancient temple and it's a map that's pointing to something that just happened not that long ago.
Right. But the thing, okay, so like, does it have something to do with the Force or the witch's power, or that's where they found it? So it like, I don't know. But it is kind of weird. Like it's pinpointing almost directly to where he is. And that's like, okay, so who put that information in the map?
Right. Maybe we'll find out.
It's just like it's a plot device,
little
right?
Little
let's
convenient.
get us to where, right.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. Some things you got to let go, I guess.
Yep. You think, say right now, Filoni's like, fuck, that never even hit me. I didn't think about that.
He needs like a QA person that just goes through and tries to poke holes in every little plot, that he's got. And just says, what did they ask about this? And then he's sitting there rubbing his eyes. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care about that one.
They need a Grant Markham that's like a Star Trek fan and that just wants to bring down Star Wars all the time. Yeah. So every time, well, why this? I'm just trying to write a fucking screenplay. Leave me alone.
Just keeps hanging up on him. Yeah. Fuck off.
Terrible idea.
Don't call back. So she walks outside. So as she walks outside to like look up at the sky, I guess I'm going on an adventure. Her kitty. Can we talk about the Lothcats? They are adorable.
They are.
They are going to be a seller, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're
big Christmas gift this year.
Yeah, those things are very cute. We did see one in Mando the first season, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't.
It was a big fat fucker like hiding under a chair.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Like this one's walking around on his duck feet.
Yeah. It's like weird. Purring, alerting his owner or his friend to evildoers. So yeah, these HK droids show up, steal the map, make their way down the elevator. She kills the one. Well, sort of kills the one, disables the one. By the time she gets down there, after calling Hu Yang for backup, she encounters Shin. Now this is a great sequence.
Yes.
Because I love we've been looking for this. Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Posturing.
It was almost like she pulls out her lightsaber like, well, you came to fuck with the wrong person. Mm-hmm. And then Shin was like, oh, I've got one too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
I've been wanting to fight
she's toying with her. You can tell almost immediately she was like, oh, I'm way better than this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You could tell she was toying with her. And then, I mean, it's a pretty sweet fight sequence aside from the fact that, you could tell that one has the upper hand the whole way. That little cool move Sabine does where she goes back and puts her hand down and is holding the saber up. That was kind of cool. Very flexible. Nice work. Keep that in mind, Ezra.
Yep.
Keep that in mind. Sister, would you like to take a bath together? Sorry.
Ezra dirty.
Yeah. But you can tell Sabine's out of shape because she's struggling. And then lo and behold, fucking pivot slice right to the gut. So everybody saw this and it creates this whole conversation about, okay, what are we doing here? Because we keep getting saber, slashes and we keep coming back from them.
Who else came back from one?
Or am I just thinking of gunshots? Because Fennec Shan came back from a shot to the stomach.
Yep. And as far as we know, we know he survived because he was in the end credit sequence of Boba Fett. The Marshal. Somebody
else got stabbed. Who got stabbed? It was in The Mandalorian?
Reva? Did Reva get stabbed?
Reva got stabbed.
Okay.
And I feel like there's one more.
So Qui-Gon dies from it.
Qui-Gon dies because Obi-Wan didn't have any backed on him. He didn't. He forgot to pack it.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's a rule. If you're like under 25 and you get stabbed, you got like a 65% chance of surviving.
Yeah. Right. It's all quick action. It's like a stroke. Yeah. If you act quick, you can keep it from getting worse. I mean, Darth Maul, of course, but that was all a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, that was, and he survived that. That was immediate cauterization, though.
It did. Yeah, I feel like there's somebody else that got stabbed that I'm forgetting. I can't remember.
Well, I think we've proven the argument that you can survive a stabbing then, right? I guess it depends on where you get hit.
Yeah. That's true. It's this debate that's going around. Everybody's talking about it. And they're just going, poor Qui-Gon. And then you get this nice little note at the end just to make us cry that says, to their friend Ray.
Yeah.
Or Ray Stevenson.
You know, the only thing I would have changed in that, like if I was the Ahsoka arriving should have been like a fucking sweet ass moment of her jumping out of that ship,
Yes.
you know, and running.
Right. Or like, flying out, almost like, doesn't Qui-Gon do that? Come flying out of the ship to battle Darth Maul in Phantom Menace? Like a scene that essentially, not only does Shin just see her coming and bolt, but she actually has to fend her off and then get out. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Like you need to build up, like we've seen Ahsoka fight some robots and she's yet to fight the Inquisitor. That's the next episode. So like, yeah, I think we need to show like the audience, oh, this one, like she's running from her for a reason. She knows,
Right.
oh, this one probably can take me.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And it would have made her look like a badass if Ahsoka, like the fucking ramp just comes down and she just, you know, comes out of there full John Wick style.
Slice marks all over her robes because they're just so cumbersome.
Did you notice that Shin was using her robe? Like the way she fought?
She would swing it around a lot. Like,
yeah,
and
it
not
would, like,
just part of her
follow
body
through.
movement.
It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, she's got a slightly different fighting style. That's for sure. I'm not sure where she gets that. Having watched this first episode, where did it kind of leave you? Like as far as thinking what's coming? I mean, obviously heavy Rebels ties, and we're getting all that backstory and stuff, and we're getting a big story on Elsbeth. I think the big storylines at this point, and you're looking at the end of season 1 or episode 1, because we're going to get an episode 2 in the next episode we've already watched. But it's just so much is down to the Sabine Ahsoka relationship, and will it, be mended and grow, which you would assume it will.
Right.
And then of course it's all about the Thrawn Ezra search. But like, did it leave any other doors open that you thought, oh, that's kind of cool, we get to find out what this means or what that means? Maybe with the villains.
Yeah, well, I mean, the title, I think Master and Apprentice worked well on both sides, right? Yeah. And it was kind of interesting to see, like, the evil side, they actually look like they get along, and the Apprentice, the Padawan, whatever they are on that side, it's almost like she looks up to him, respects him, right, listens to him, where the other, Ahsoka and Sabine can't, like, stay on page 1 for longer than 30 seconds.
But that Baylan Shin thing is going to split in two later this season, you know it, because he has... Yeah. We'll get to it in the next episode, but he has some remorse or some feelings toward the Jedi Order in general. I don't think she does.
No, and I think like her look at the way that she looked at him when he said, "For us, unlimited power," or whatever he says. Like that looked like that was a big thing for her. And the big thing with those, you always kill your master.
Right. Yeah.
So I
could see it happening. I could easily see her taking him out. And then, yeah, I mean, the other thing I was thinking about just looking forward to the season was just we're obviously going to get a ton of lightsaber battles. Like, as much as we didn't get it in, obviously didn't get any in Andor and didn't get a ton in Mandalorian, except for a couple sequences, we're going to get a lot in this show.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. And when does Thrawn show up? That was the other thing I kept thinking. When is he going to show up?
I'm guessing probably the end of the next episode, because if they got the Eye of Zion ready to go, I don't know, but I'm guessing... We've seen almost every shot in the trailer in these two episodes. The only thing we haven't seen is the Ahsoka and the Baylan fight. And there's, what was the other shot? There's, Thrawn walking onto the bridge of the, what's-her-face's ship. And then there's
a couple other little ones. There's
thing.
Like one of Shin as a pilot with like the headset on, piloting a ship. There's her attacking.
Yes.
There's a Purgle. Right. There's a Purgle shot we haven't seen yet. There's a few things.
The second time I watched that, because we're going into the second episode in a minute, but the second time I watched that, you could hear the Purgle when they're on the planet. Oh,
you could see the shadow of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't notice it the first time either. It was the second time I saw it. Well, that was it for the first episode. Real quickly on our giveaway for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So we were looking up some of the merch they were adding for Disney Plus subscribers once these episodes dropped. And there were some things, but for the most part we were kind of eh. So what we decided in the end was first place prize for our giveaway. We'll get all 3 of the Black Series, Sabine, Hera, and Ahsoka. That will be the first place prize. Second place prize will be this adorable little Ahsoka mug that is part of the Disney Disney collection.
Yep.
And the third place will be the Ahsoka book that I think came out in like mid-teens, 16.
Yeah, it's
15,
a few years old.
Something like that. So those are the giveaway items. And maybe, you might get some stuff thrown in there as well as little bonus items, some of our own merch. So,
right.
So that's what you're playing for, folks.
So communicate with us. Give us a Maul Bag. Rate and review. What else do they have to do?
So tell a friend if you can prove it.
Yep. Yeah.
Question of the week answer, Maul Bag, voicemail.
We're going to be very skeptical.
And review. Yes, we will. It's going to put it under a lot of scrutiny. All right. Well, that's it for that. Let's go to the Maul Bag.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so this comes from Slewfoot Fred, your favorite name. Hi, guys. Can you please make a new segment called What Chopper Said? Basically a breakdown of all of his dialogue. I'm certain there were some things he said that you could discuss. Great idea,
It is
Fred.
a great idea.
And I may have put something together for the next episode. We'll see.
Okay.
He says, love the first 2 episodes, exciting, action-packed, and what you want from Star Wars. Thank you, Fred.
I would like to, if we have a listener that shockingly didn't watch Rebels, more so than the Clone Wars even, but like what their take on this series was. Like, can they step into this with enough knowledge, or was there enough to keep them interested, or is there like a lot of, because I mean, there was a lot of exposition in that first episode.
There was.
To kind of put, a lot more tell than show, which is unfortunate because we were hoping to see some like flashback things. And I think we were wrong on a bunch of things, but there was something that happened almost right away. And I was like, hey, I think we called that. If I remember, I'll bring it up.
Okay. All right. Well, we do also have a voicemail in the FACPA Answering Machine, and that is from our good friend of the show, Rural Farm Boy. That's hard to say. I haven't even been drinking. Take it away, RFB.
FACPA boys, it's RFB. Just seen the message. Looking for listener input because Ahsoka's out and just weren't about an hour ago or so. I sat down and gave my first look. And could have.
And then you turned it off? Like, did he watch it?
He just took one quick look at it.
He turned on Disney Plus and goes, it's there.
I can't do this. Yeah. I can't do this. I'm going to listen to everybody else describe it. I'm not going to watch it.
Just knocked me over. This is going to be a hell of a ride. So 7 weeks is welcome to take its time going on by, because I can't believe we're already sitting at the tail end of August. Like, where'd March go? Anyway, so
where'd March go?
Like, specifically, what?
Oh, I love that. Where'd March go? He's looking at his Farmer's Almanac and he's like, what the fuck?
He's like, wait a minute. Last week, it was just March 28th.
I feel like I was just planting.
What is happening here? Yeah.
Here we go.
It's just absolutely brilliant. I went into it just like Maddie knows and Jay knows. Tell me a Star Wars story. And didn't they just?
Didn't they just?
I don't know what else to say. I'm still fixing I've already got spoiler reviews lining up. I got a couple good 2 dozens going to keep me company on work day tomorrow.
Oh,
so it's sounding like I'm going to get to hear Ahsoka more times than I've seen it.
Well, no offense, but isn't that normally the case? Don't you listen to so many podcasts that you get recaps more than you've actually watched the show? Or no? I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah, I cannot wait to hear what you boys got. And hoping other listeners are going to send something in too.
Yeah.
And looking forward to that in my playlist, likely over the weekend. And then meet back here next week for episode 3. So till
Same
then, boys.
FACPA time. Same FACPA channel.
See you on the radio.
Did you hear that sound at the end? Things happen at the end of his voicemails. Like that. It sounds like he's in peril. All of a sudden, this noise started kicking in.
Like he's under the threat of being shot if he doesn't call in.
I guess. But then he only has a certain amount of time. Like, wrap it up.
Oh, man.
Maybe his captors are like, that's it, RFB.
It's his calling card is running out of minutes.
Oh, shit, that's funny. All right, well, thank you, RFB. You get entries for that.
Yeah, and hey, RFB, we're doing this for you. A whole nother episode is coming because I said we do 2 this week.
That's true.
And I am regretting it.
You did it to us.
So tired. All right, let's go into the FACPAtoid here. We've got, this is a big one. Let's see what your thoughts on it. Maybe you can elaborate, or we can just end the fucking show. FACPAtoid is this. Clone Trooper Captain Rex has a scar on his chin modeled after Harrison Ford. Did you know that?
Well, so you sent me a picture of this in our DM.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought they're bringing him back. They're bringing him back to play But it can only show his upper face. Or excuse me, his chin. They can't show the lower.
Right. Yeah.
His upper
But
face.
now do we have to think Solo's DNA is mixed with Jango Fett's to make these guys?
Does the timeline work on that? It doesn't work on
We got a whole spin-off going on. Well, maybe the new ones are looking for some new goo and they can't get Baby Yodas. So
new goo. Yeah, I never noticed that before. That was an interesting thing. Where did you find that? It was just on Twitter? You found somebody called that
There's
out?
an account called Star Wars Facts. So I was like, oh, interesting. So I'll use it for a FACPAtoid.
So you think that's just a little homage? Like that's just a little...
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? Okay, interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that scar plays a key role in Last Crusade. They actually explain how he got it.
Right, the whip, right?
The whip,
hits him
yeah,
when he's a kid.
right.
The
River
River
Phoenix
Phoenix
scene.
version.
Yeah. Pour one out. Anyway, it's good to have the FACPAtoid back. I'm looking forward to more of them.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you right away next episode. Matt.
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
We have spoken.
Matt.